Hello and a happy Easter to you all. It's really good to be able to share a little bit about the good news of Easter with you. And normally I'd be able to come into your schools and take an assembly and see all of you, but at the moment we can't do that. So I thought I'd just record you this little Easter message. And I hope you're all getting on really well, whether you're at home or whether you're still in school. So I wonder what it is that you think about when you hear the word Easter. I guess for a lot of us, it will be chocolate Easter eggs. And I'm sure most of you are looking forward to getting some Easter eggs. Maybe some of you have already got them in your houses. And it's one of the nicest things about Easter is that we can all have some chocolate eggs. Maybe you'll be thinking about Easter Bunny. And sometimes we are able to share in maybe an Easter egg hunt. And maybe you'll be able to do that around your garden this year. We also see lots of new life all around us. On the farms, we see lambs, we see ducklings and chicks. Outside in the gardens, we see flowers growing and blossom on the trees. And Easter is an exciting time of new life. But I wonder, what is Easter really about for Christians? Well, there are two main things about Easter, really. And it's not the eggs and the new life that we see all around us. There are two parts to the Easter story. First of all, there is the cross. And then there is an empty tomb. Two parts of the most important story of all for Christians. But we just think a little bit about that. Why a cross and why an empty tomb? Well, the cross reminds us of what happened to Jesus. And on Good Friday, we remember how Jesus was arrested even though he'd done nothing wrong. How he was led away, how he was put on trial, and how he was condemned to die. And then we remember how he was put on a cross and how he really did die, and how all his friends were sad and disbelieving, didn't really know what had happened. And we know that Jesus was then buried, and he was buried in a tomb, in a cave, with a huge rock rolled across the front. And everything seemed to have gone wrong. And his friends thought it was all over. And they would be sad, and the next day they would be sad too. And then we remember on Easter Sunday morning, some ladies went to the garden where the tomb was. They were upset, they were crying, they wanted to mourn for Jesus. They wanted to maybe try and put something nice smelling on his body. But when they got there, something amazing had happened. The stone had been rolled away and Jesus's body was not there. What had happened? Well, they thought somebody had taken him. But then Mary Magdalene saw somebody in the garden. She thought it was the gardener. But when he spoke to her, she knew it was Jesus and he really was alive. Well, she ran off and told everybody, her friends, the disciples, everybody, that Jesus was alive again. And many, many people saw him back from the dead. And eventually he would go back to heaven to be with God. But now they weren't sad because they knew that Jesus would always be with him by his Spirit. Well, the Easter story is an amazing story. It's the best one for Christians. But what is it really about? Is it about something that went wrong? Is it about a terrible mistake? Well, no, it isn't. For Christians, the cross and the tomb are really important. So let's think about the cross first. And we look at the cross sometimes and think that it's all a mistake that Jesus died. But that isn't really what happened. You see, God wanted Jesus to do something really special. I've got something to show you to help us to think about it. So here I have a bowl of water, just clean water. And this is what we would like to be like, clean and pure. But, well, we're not, are we? Our lives are not always clean and pure. And we often make mistakes. We often do things that we're sorry about. We often say things we didn't mean. We hurt people. And Christians and the Bible call that sin, things that spoil us. And that would be a problem because although God loves us, he hates the things that are wrong. But when Jesus died to take the blame for the things that we do wrong. So instead of us paying the consequences of what we do wrong, Jesus would take the blame for us. And when Jesus died, it meant that we could be forgiven, that we could be made clean, that we could have that new start. And that then when God looked at us, he would see clean, pure people. Only because Jesus took the blame in our place. So that's a really exciting part of Easter as we remember Jesus dying so that people could be forgiven. But then what about the tomb? What about that? What does that say to us? And here we have our tomb. And what we need to remember is that the tomb was empty. It was a place of death, but on that first Easter Sunday morning, it became the symbol of life. And Jesus rose to new life. And that shows Christians that we can have new life too with God. If we trust in Jesus, Jesus promises that we will have new life. We will one day be with him. And so for Christians, Easter is such an exciting time as we remember Jesus' death and Jesus' resurrection and the promise of a new life. And as we eat our Easter eggs and as we see the signs of new life all around us, we can remember that Jesus died and Jesus rose again, that we might have newness of life. So I hope you'll all have a happy Easter. I hope you have some good times with your family and that you'll remember the most exciting story of all. So thank you for listening, and I hope it won't be too long before I'm able to see all of you again in your schools. Thank you.